My name is Thomas Burns Scully, and among other things, I am a music journalist, reviewer, and word writer for, among other places, Popdust. Popdust is probably the one that my output is on the most. I write about music in general. I've been covering a lot of country music in the last couple of years, just because I made a bunch of friends in Nashville, and Nashville country music, they go together, like ham and bread. I've been covering a bunch of country music, but not just country music. I'm willing to write about pretty much any genre of music as long as I can sort of see the thing that is appealing about it. And
Mhm.
like, it's not necessarily that it's going to be my favorite song or my favorite artist. It's about finding just like, if I was a fan of this genre, or if I was a fan of this person, like, what do I like about this? Is how I like to approach writing about a song, rather than trying to sort of judge it based on my own sort of standards of what I like, because reviewing is so biased anyway. Like, trying to get a little bit of objectivity, I think, is helpful. I mean, I've got an inbox that's constantly full of publicists sending me requests to review, and it is physically impossible to write about every single one of them. And like, if I could, I would. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. um, when I'm sort of going through my inbox, it really, honestly, it depends on the day. Um, if it depends on the day and my schedule at that time. Because I'm not just a writer for Popdust, I also write for other things. I do freelance copywriting. I'm also a playwright. I also do screenwriting, screen editing. I write on a lot of different things and kinds of projects.
Awesome.
So it really depends on what I'm working at any given time. But if I have writing time available to write about music, I try and set some time aside, and I will, I will go through my inbox. I will see what's there, and it's like, generally speaking, it's more a question of deleting the stuff first that I know I'm definitely not going to look at. Um, and usually it's like, if I don't. It's usually it's the subject header that will be the sort of the quickest guide for that,
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, you hate to be this sort of callous about it, but like, there is only a finite amount of time, and there are so many people producing so much great music out there. Most music that I get sent is good. That's the reassuring thing. Is like, if you're not getting a response from someone like me, it's not because your music's bad. It's because I don't have time to get to it, most likely. Anything that stands out, and like, sometimes it'll be, just like a nice phrasing. Sometimes it'll be a particular credit that stands out. Like, I remember I got sent an album by Zach Callison, and I didn't offhand know who Zach Callison was, but the email line read that, oh, he's the voice of Steven in Steven Universe. And I was like, oh, I love that show. What does he do? And I discovered his music, which is really, really interesting. And like, this kind of like concept rock, which is really, like, it's got a trippy feel to it. And yeah, it's very theatrical. Sometimes it's just like an interesting description. Sometimes it's yeah, it can be any number of things. Like, just write something that if you're writing these subject lines, just write something that you would be interested to read. And like, it might not necessarily work, but if it does, it does. If there's like a long preface to it, because like, my screen is only so big. I mean, like, I'll do fingers to help guide. Like, my screen is what, this big, and then the Gmail bar is, that big. The subject line bar is about that big. So if you're writing talent agency X, for immediate release, blah blah blah, all that stuff like builds up, like must read, like so amazing. It's like anything like that that just fills up the space, and then I'm getting like the first three letters of the artist name. I usually go, I don't have time. Like, so like, I just click through. I'll click through. Um, if sometimes it'll be specific things, like if my name is misspelled and it's in the line, then I'll go like, like the name, or my name, or the name of the website that I refer. If that's misspelled or like just wrong, then I'll sort of go, well, like, this is the easy bit, and you, like, if you can't do that, then I don't trust you. It's like, you just get the names right. It's not very hard. Again, I don't want to sound callous, but like, these things, like, there's a lot to get through. Um,
Makes sense.
This might be one that's specific to me, but I had one that was sent to me recently, which was all lowercase as a stylistic choice. And it was like some text speak in there. It was like, you have to check this out, like you and the number 2. I didn't really like that. I get they were going for a stylistic thing. It made it jump out, but it also, maybe that's just me. That might be a me particular thing. Yeah. So it can be any number of things, but like generally speaking, I want to like your stuff, and I probably do. It's just a question of time and being able to get to it. It's a minimum. It's definitely a minimum of about 15 a day, and like sometimes it's even more than that. I don't honestly keep a close tally of them, but it's a lot.
Enough.
Yeah. I would say that's probably the least of your worries. Like honestly, with us journalists, there's a lot of us. There's a lot more of us than you think. Like yes, we get a lot of stuff every day, but also we do want to cover musicians. Otherwise, why would we be doing this? Don't be afraid to pitch yourself. There's no reason to. As long as you're not being a jerk, as long as you're not saying like, why don't you respond to me? I've never had that happen, but I'm assuming that, like, I know I've been rejected by things that I've emailed that board before, and you've wanted to do that and be like, why are you ignoring me? This is so rude. And it's like, there's probably a very Occam's razor reason at the other end as to why you haven't got a response, and it's not because we don't like you. Like most of the time we do like you, as I said. Yeah, just do it. If you are having trouble writing about yourself, enlist help. Fine. I've known plenty of people who've just gotten a friend of theirs who's just good at writing to write a quick little blurb about them to put in an email, and that'll work. But as long as you've got something that gives us a sense of like what you sound like and so on, and more often than not, being flashy is less interesting, at least to me, than just being honest and being sort of like, this is my music, I feel like it comes from this place, this is who I am, and like, oh, okay, cool, now I'm with you. I don't really mind whichever way gets pitched. There's no right or wrong way to, there's no real specific one right way to do it. There are a few wrong ways, like I mentioned earlier, being unprofessional and misspelling names and all that kind of stuff, which is should just be basic etiquette anyway. But no, any of those will work. It's just a question of like whether I can get to it, whether I can take a look. And then once I'm in there, as long as there's a paragraph somewhere where I can read in 50 words something about the artist, and I'm not having to dig through hyperbole to find it. There's no right or wrong way to. There's no real specific one right way to do it. There are a few wrong ways, like I mentioned earlier. Being unprofessional and misspelling names and all that kind of stuff, which is should just be basic etiquette anyway. But no, any of those will work. It's just a question of like whether I can get to it, whether I can take a look. And then once I'm in there, as long as there's a paragraph somewhere where I can read in 50 words something about the artist, and I'm not having to dig through hyperbole to find it. It's like, hyperbole is great. I love hyperbole. I thrive on it. But I need to at a certain point, I just need a nice clear sentence of like this artist has an album, it is rock and roll, it does this, sounds a bit like this, it's like, oh, okay, cool, then I can latch onto something, and then like if I'm interested in that, I can then dig through a bit more. At least for me, like I don't really mind follow-ups if I don't have time to get to something and I'm just sort of, the email's just kind of sitting there and I'm sort of ignoring it because I don't have chance to get, because I won't be able to get to it, and responding to every single one that I won't be able to get to is just going to fill up more of my already busy schedule. Then the follow-ups don't sort of bug me. If I've responded to you already and said that I will have a look at this, then feel free to follow up as much as is reasonable. Like more than once a day is probably too much. And if I see that you've followed up with me like 7 times suddenly, actually don't know what my response to that would be. I've never had that happen. I've never had someone over pester me on something. When it happens, I guess I'll let you know. At least for me, I mean, again, uh, the experiences will vary. I'm not the be all and end all of every single writer you'll find out there. But I don't think I would be put off by like 2 or 3 follow-ups. Like I'm a huge Jack White stan. I like love the guy. He's my like absolute favorite, and that's one of the perks of the job is occasionally you get tickets to things that you really want to see. And I was able to go see the Raconteurs when they were on tour last year. That was just a religious experience. Um, yeah, I've actually in the last couple of years really gotten into the Mountain Goats as well. Although most recently, I actually just finally got into Kraftwerk, and like I know that they're sort of 1980s and not rock and roll, but I don't know, just something about that sort of postmodern 1980s futurist techno right now just feels appropriate to the times we're living in, and I'm not sure why. There's just a kind of soothing quality to it of just having people with German accents say things about computers over like synthesizers. I don't know. It's nice. Don't take it personally if you're not being responded to. I know that that's sort of it's an easy lesson to say. It's a difficult lesson to sort of take on board, and not to be discouraged by that either, because again, we don't hate you. It's just the fact that we as writers, we're in not that different a boat to the one that you are in as an artist. Like we're not like writing on the internet. Generally speaking, you're not making a vast sums of money. You're not a millionaire. You're not sort of lord and master of everything. And we're also not the gatekeepers to your career. Like I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many freelancers work for Popdust. I'm a freelancer there, and then that's not even. And then there's the staff writers there as well. I'm not sure exactly how many people total write for the website. We don't get paid a giant amount per article. So like maybe the reason we're not writing about you is because like, well, rent's due this month and I've got this other job that's willing to pay me this amount of money, and it's either that or, like whatever I'm going to get paid for 500 words, which is what most, actually even like bigger releases now, the guidelines are heading towards 500 words, like for reviews, because I don't know, you've got to go with people read and what people read, and the algorithms right now seem to favor short reads, particularly for reviews. If people are going to read longer stuff, it generally is like think pieces or listicles, really, which is kind of a shame, I think, because like I think reviews are really sort of the bread and butter of the like as a music writer. I think that's what the mainstay of it should be. We got into this to, you know, promote new artists and to get people to listen to stuff they wouldn't have listened to before. And the fact that that's kind of been pushed to the back burner is very frustrating. Whereas things like, 10 songs that, have the word Daisy in them and like that gets 20,000 clicks. It's like, I don't know why that happened, but that's what happened. And, don't take it personally. We don't hate you. We don't hate your music. You are not talentless. You are probably very, very talented. At the very least, you've got the dedication to, send this email, which is more than a lot of people get to musically. And don't be disheartened, because we're just people too. And we want you to succeed. There are a lot of other factors at play that mean that it's difficult to see everyone and to give love to everyone, even though you deserve it. It's difficult to say don't take it personally when someone has gone, this album is so personal to me, this is about all of my feelings, this is my child, here you go. And then I just go, well, I don't have time right now, so like it goes in the archive. And like I get that that does feel very personal. It's not, but it probably feels personal. I get the juxtaposition there, but it's not personal. Don't be afraid to pitch yourself. There's no reason not to. Like, at the very least, you end up right back at the place you started. Like, which is, and even then, it's probably not that. If you send out 200 emails, like, you'll get at least a polite, "I'm sorry, I don't have time now," from one person. And then that's a connection that you can build on. Like, personal relationships are very important. There have been artists who've pitched me directly, who I'm now friends with, and when their stuff comes out, like, I say, send it to me. I don't know if I have time, but if I do have time, I really want to write about you when you release, because we're friends now. Personal relationships will always be your friend.